Ho ho ho, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to another Christmassy video. Now today I'm talking about possibly the best Christmas movie of all time. Now, of course, and obviously, this is a subjective opinion. Each and every person in the world has their own favorite holiday film, or not. However, this, I dare say, is one of the best Christmas films of all time, and not only Christmas films, but films in general. And I'm of course talking about the Gremlins. Now, this is a collection of both the films, Gremlins and Gremlins The New Batch, which is the sequel. It wasn't that good. Neither it was particularly a Christmas film, but, well, it just came in this little collection, so I bought it that way. But I'm talking about the first one. The Gremlins from 1984, if I'm not wrong. Should have checked first. Yes, 1984. It was written by Chris Columbus. It was directed by John Dante and produced by Steven Spielberg. Now, first, what's the Gremlins about? It's about gremlins. It's about these small folkloric goblin-like creatures that were popularized during the Second World War by mainly the author Roald Dahl, very much known for writing children's books such as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And they were supposed to be sorry, I'm losing my voice. It's very early in the morning. I've just had my breakfast and I'm going to go to my home gym to do some serious workout after having a nice bulking Christmas meal. But the Gremlins, and they were supposed to destroy and damage aircraft during the World War, and they were supposed to be very mischievous creatures, something like a very dark version and a dark mirror image of Santa Claus's elves. Now, I saw the film Gremlins for the first time when I was 3 years old. Most of today's parents and or children would say you saw Gremlins when you were 3 years old for the first time. That's not really appropriate for children that young, this film. Well, yeah, but I saw The Alien when I was 3 or 4 for the first time. I was watching The X-Files with my father when I was 4. And I think I've grown up to be a decent human being. But the story basically revolves around a boy or a young man called Billy, portrayed by Zach Galligan in this movie, and he gets this little fella for Christmas from his father. This is a Mogwai, and this father finds this little creature called Mogwai in a little Chinese shop in Chinatown, and he gets it from a grandson of an old Chinese man seller. The man, the owner of the shop, doesn't really want to sell the man the Mogwai for obvious reasons. And the boy, his grandson, when he secretly sells this Mogwai to the father of Billy, tells him, right, you can have the Mogwai, but you have to follow 3 rules when taking care of the Mogwai. You can never, ever expose him to water. You can never, ever expose him to light or sunlight, because sunlight would kill him. And thirdly, you can never, ever, and this is the most important, feed him after midnight. Right away, the father should have thought, well, that's a bit strange, these rules. And the boy does sound a little bit ominous. Maybe I should pass on that. Well, he doesn't. And he brings the boy, Billy, the present. And of course, everything happens that, they were forbidden to do. After being exposed to water, the Mogwai multiply, so this is how they reproduce. You pour water over them, and they just multiply. And when you feed them after midnight, they transform into gremlins, into their very dark, evolved image. And the rest of the story is basically, about the entire town being terrorized by hordes of gremlins at Christmas, and Billy and Gizmo the Mogwai, and Billy's soon-to-be girlfriend trying to deal with this entire situation and save the town from the Gremlins. Now, why is it the best film of all time, or the best Christmas film of all time? Because it's got everything. Not only does it have action, not only does it have perfect puppets and animatronics. You look at the movie, it's from 1984. Man, you can't tell that the Gremlins or the Mogwai are puppets. They look alive. I don't know whether Jim Henson had anything to do with them, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because anything Jim Henson did at the time was fantastic. But I don't think he did in this case. In any case, no computer generated effects, just practical effects and puppets, but they looked so freaking real in that movie. And it is really dark. It is a dark movie. It is a very, very dark movie. Putting the fact that the Gremlins are so frightening and the puppets are so scary aside, there are a couple of very dark moments when the girl character tells about her father not committing suicide, but people committing suicide at Christmas, and her father dying in a chimney on Christmas because he wanted to be Santa Claus for his daughter and come down the chimney, but he fell down and broke his neck, and they found him after like 2 weeks rotting in the chimney. That's some dark shit, man. And things like, spoilers for movie that's nearly 30 years old for those of you who haven't seen it, but I'm sure there are many young people who haven't seen that movie, so spoilers now, right? The movie ends with a quote, like something like, when your video gets broken, or your VCR gets broken, when your television doesn't work, or your dishwasher blows up, turn on all the lights, check all the dark corners, peek into the wardrobe and under the bed, because you might have gremlins in your home. The end. Good night, children. Fantastic. Now, I love this film because at the time, 1984, it was the 80s. You could show, and in the 90s, because I saw it when I was like 3 years old, right? So it was like 1996 when I saw it for the first time. So you could show it to children and nobody would bitching about it. Nobody would be like, oh, this is inappropriate for children. Nowadays, you can't say anything to kids. You can't show anything to kids. They are being so sheltered. They are being so extremely sheltered. But at the same time, the only thing, or the main thing that the world wants to teach children these days is about LGBTQ plus community and the gender pronouns, and that if you don't feel like a boy, little boy, you don't have to be a little boy. You can be a little girl, little boy. Right. But they are being sheltered from good stories, good storytelling. Even if they are a little bit dark. They are sheltered from the harsh facts of life. The harsh facts, undeniable, inevitable facts of life, such as dying, suffering, mean and evil people in the world. So they are being sheltered from this, but not from the atrocities and the socio-political nonsense that people are coming up with these days, right? So it was okay back then to show children things like that. Look at Ren and Stimpy. People would be shitty, like scared about showing children Ren and Stimpy these days. And it's got very classical tropes, very conservative tropes in that movie. The main character, the protagonist, is a boy who falls in love with a girl. And today, at least one of these characters would have to be gay. The male character would have to be cucked and demasculinized. And in the end, it would have to result in the female character being the alpha in the relationship, and she would have to be saving the male character like every 5 minutes. I have got nothing against that. It's very suitable and very fitting for films like Wonder Woman, Black Widow, and so on and so forth. Or like, it's in every movie these days. So if they made a movie with a truly, like, manly young male protagonist falling in love with a girl, that would be a pretty nice change these days. But at the time, it wasn't anything that extraordinary. So that's what I loved about it. So it's got everything. It's a movie for both children and adults. It's a perfect movie that you can watch at Christmas, but in any other time during the year as well. And for those of you who grew up with Gremlins, such as I did, we all know it. But for the new generation or the new batch of both parents and children, don't be afraid of showing this to your kids. Like, don't shelter them from every single piece of horror, because this is a horror as well. It really is. It does count as a horror movie. It's a Christmas horror film. Don't shelter them from horror movies too much. It's not good for them, really. It isn't good. They will grow up to be weirdos who only care about gender pronouns. It's not everything in life. You need to have a vast knowledge of many things, and you need to train your emotions and your psyche for the days to come, because the days are going to be only darker and darker and darker. And I'm not only talking about the pandemic, but about everything. So yeah, that's about it. The Gremlins, for me, my personal opinion, the best Christmas film of all time, and one of my personal favorite films, period. It's definitely one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. So what do you think, my friends? What are your favorite Christmas films or holiday films, and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And do not forget to dislike this video if you don't like it, or like this video if you like it, and subscribe to this unimportant channel of an unimportant geek talking about unimportant things. That'll be all from me. See you soon. Enjoy your holidays, and bye.